Welcome to my next Madden 23 new look rebuild, post-draft rebuild, whatever you want to call it. Today I am using the Minnesota Vikings. The rules are pretty simple. I have 3 seasons to win a Super Bowl, otherwise the rebuild is considered a failure. Here is the offense we will be starting things with. We have quarterback Kirk Cousins, who is an 84 overall still. We also have Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, who are both superstar dev traits. We have TJ Hockenson, who is a 90 overall as a star dev trait. Probably need a new wide receiver too. I don't think KJ Osborne's going to cut it this entire rebuild, but Jordan Addison, their first round pick, may develop into a pretty solid receiver. On defense, I'm going to keep it a 3-4 just because the last couple rebuilds I've done, I changed the team to a 4-3 thinking it would help, and then the defense was never good. So we're going to keep this as the normal Vikings defense and see if I can improve it. We obviously need some help along the defensive line. Defensive tackle is a 68 overall. Our second middle linebacker, I love Brian Asamoah, former Oklahoma Sooner, but at 68 overall, I don't think you're going to be my starter for long. I am going to be bringing in a couple people to try to help us out this season. The first one's going to be defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins. Another player I'm bringing in is middle linebacker Jalen Smith. Like I said, I love Brian Asamoah because he went to Oklahoma, but at 68 overall, I don't think he's going to develop that well. We are also going to bring in right guard Vaitai. I used to be able to say his first name, but he hasn't been on the Eagles in a few years, so I completely forgot how, but either way, we're going to sign him. I'm also going to make this blockbuster trade. We are sending 2 first-round picks and wide receiver KJ Osborne to Arizona for wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. We've now given Kirk Cousins a massive upgrade at wide receiver 2, obviously going from KJ Osborne to DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, I did trade away 2 first-round picks, so we are kind of going all in to win the Super Bowl in the next couple seasons, but that's kind of the goal of this whole rebuild anyway. The defense does look a little bit better now with Jonathan Hankins and Jalen Smith here. Obviously, I think we'll have a few more players to upgrade anyway, and I think Lewis Sine is actually injured to start the season, and he is. He's going to miss the first 2 weeks. I don't really know what the expectations are for season 1 of this rebuild. I would say let's just focus on winning the division and maybe a playoff game, possibly 2. If we can start things off by getting into the conference championship, I will feel real confident in that trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Well, we definitely did not win the division. We go 8-9. We finish as the 6th offense in points per game and the 4th offense in passing yards per game, but the 22nd defense in points per game. Kirk Cousins finishes with nearly 5,000 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. On the ground, Dalvin Cook ran for 1,100 yards and 17 scores. Receiving, Justin Jefferson, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns. Jordan Addison as a rookie, 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. That is something that we like to see here. DeAndre Hopkins, 891 yards and 9 touchdowns. What about defense? Who led the team in tackles? That is going to be Jordan Hicks with 112. In sacks, Danielle Hunter got 16 of them. And interceptions, Byron Murphy Jr. got 4, Jordan Hicks got 3. Only one quarterback went over 5,000 yards this season, and that is Joe Burrow. In touchdowns, that is also Joe Burrow with 44. Interceptions goes to Mac Jones with 21. Running the ball, Derrick Henry with 1,800 yards. And touchdowns goes to Nick Chubb and Tony Pollard, who both got 21. Receiving, Cooper Kupp is leader in yards, George Pickens in receptions with 114, and touchdowns goes to Tyler Boyd with 20. One thing you don't want to see in one of these rebuilds is your division rival winning the Super Bowl, but that's exactly what happens in season 1. Jordan Love has led the Packers to a win 31-24, led by Super Bowl MVP Eric Stokes at corner. NFL MVP is Dak Prescott, Coach of the Year is Mike McCarthy, Offensive Player of the Year is Derrick Henry, Defensive Player of the Year is Von Miller, Offensive Rookie of the Year is Jordan Addison, and Defensive Rookie of the Year goes down as Aiden Hutchinson. I can't really do anything about that sort of stuff happening. Looking at the re-signings, there's not really a lot I want to bring back. We may look at Garrett Bradbury, but past that, I'm probably going to let everyone else walk here to see if we can get better in free agency. So for right now, we will offer a contract to Bradbury, just a 2-year deal. Let's see if he takes that, and he is going to be testing free agency. I have offered 3 contracts here in the first round of free agency. I'm really hoping I can land Myles Jack, but I cannot guarantee that. I've also offered a contract to William Jackson and center Garrett Bradbury. Let's see if any of them are going to sign. Everyone has signed except Myles Jack. We land the other 2, so I need to up the offer for Myles Jack and then try again. Myles Jack ended up signing with the Tennessee Titans. He had no interest in coming here anyway. I knew it was a long shot to get him. If you've never seen any of my rebuilds before, the way I do things in the draft is I pick the first 3 rounds of the draft, and then past that I allow the computer to pick. The reason I do that is because I'm not very good at picking in the later rounds, and it really just feels like luck anyway, so I just let the computer handle that. But obviously, we have no first round pick this year, so let's see who the Lions are going to take with the #1 pick. They are going to take, let's see, outside linebacker Cordell Matlock out of South Carolina. Really, that's all I wanted to see. Now I'll jump to our pick. With pick 13 here in the second round, I'm going to take middle linebacker Joe Hayden out of Washington. He is apparently a draft story because he did not participate in the combine. It says he has elite level speed. He comes in with A, awareness, B, block shedding, and A, zone coverage. We're going to take Hayden, and he will come in as a hidden depth trade. I am not seeing anyone here in round 3 at a position of need that we are actually going to take, so I'm going to make this trade with the Browns and pick up an extra 3rd and a 5th round pick for next season. We only ended up with 3 draft picks in this entire class, but we ended up taking a 73 overall middle linebacker in round 2, a 64 overall defensive end, and a 64 overall running back. The best player in the draft was apparently a middle linebacker that the Raiders took with the 10th pick of the first round, a 78 overall in Philip Flynn. We're going to make one more trade before the season starts. I have traded one of the 3rd round picks that we have next year and a 2nd round pick in the following draft to the Commanders for defensive tackle Daron Payne. Here is the starting offense for season 2 of this rebuild. Kirk Cousins is down to an 81 overall. We may need to go with another quarterback in season 3 if he can't get the job done this season. I think the defense looks a ton better with having Daron Payne here in the middle. I never saw a defensive tackle in the draft or in free agency that I really liked, so I figured I would find one to trade for. Daron Payne's a scheme fit, 84 overall star depth trait. Feel like it's a pretty solid fit. My expectations for season 1 were clearly overestimating this team. I expected maybe to get to the playoffs and win a couple playoff games. We ended up going 8-9, completely missing the playoffs. This season, I'm hoping to at least get in as a wild card. Even if we can't win the division, we need to at least get into the playoffs. How in the hell did we get worse? We go 7-10 and miss the playoffs for a 2nd straight year. Kirk Cousins did not play very well. 4,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, but 18 interceptions. Dalvin Cook ran for 10 touchdowns, didn't even hit 1,000 yards. Receiving, Justin Jefferson, 1,400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Jordan Addison caught 11. DeAndre Hopkins caught 6. What about defense? Leading the team in tackles is Jordan Hicks. In sacks, Harrison Phillips got 8.5, so a big drop off for Danielle Hunter here. And interceptions, Harrison Smith led the team with 5. Joe Burrow led the league in passing yards with 5,400. In touchdowns, that goes to Russell Wilson with 43. Interceptions goes to Bryce Young with 23. Running the ball, Aaron Jones led the league in yards with 1,500, but in touchdowns, that is Alvin Kamara with 20. And receiving, let's see who led the league here. Jamar Chase in receptions, yards, but who led the league in touchdowns? That'll be Nico Collins with 14. This Super Bowl goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, who defeated the New York Jets 28-21, led by MVP Jalen Hurts. The NFL MVP is Josh Allen. Coach of the Year is Bill Duncan, the Panthers head coach. Offensive Player of the Year is Alvin Kamara. Defensive Player of the Year is Myles Garrett. Offensive Rookie of the Year is a quarterback for the Packers, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is a linebacker for the Raiders. Actually, it's that linebacker that went 10th overall. Before we jump into re-signing here, obviously a lot of this team is probably about to change, but we do have $108 million in cap space to try to go all in on this final season of the rebuild. The first contract I'm offering is to tight end TJ Hawkinson. Let's see if he wants to come back. He is not interested in signing now. What about Danielle Hunter? I'm offering a 5-year contract, a player-friendly deal, but he has no interest in coming back here, and he thinks free agency will be better in the long run. Whoever created these rosters only gave the rookies a 2-year contract, so now Jordan Addison is looking for a new deal, so I'm going to hope that I can bring him back, but his interest level is also pretty low, and he is glad to be back. Okay, so at least we bring him back. I'm going to let a lot of these other guys walk. I'd love to bring back Hawkinson or Hunter, but neither one want to come back, and I'm not going to be bringing back Kirk Cousins. We're going to hope that there is a better quarterback available in free agency. Well, there are definitely some good quarterbacks here at the top of the list, like Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts. You also have Justin Herbert up here. 12 teams are going after Herbert right now. No one is currently going after Jalen Hurts. CJ Stroud apparently got cut from the Texans here. Kirk Cousins is available. Baker Mayfield is available. Obviously, we will go for one of these two. I'm going to try to take advantage of the fact that no one else is going after Jalen Hurts right now, even though he has very little interest in coming here, but we've offered a contract to Hurts, defensive back Bryce Hall, left guard Ezra Cleveland, outside linebacker Akeem Davis-Gaither, and tight end Darnell Washington. Hopefully we can get some of these guys here, and everyone has signed. We only land Hurts and Darnell Washington. Well, in the next round, I'm going to go after Sean Murphy-Bunting, but the Panthers are also going after him pretty hard here. Outside linebacker Akeem Davis-Gaither, we are still in the running for. And then left guard Elijah Wilkinson. Can we get any of these guys this time? We managed to get Sean Murphy-Bunting. We're still waiting on Davis-Gaither and Elijah Wilkinson. Let's go ahead and advance one more stage. And they are both gone. And we land both of them, thankfully. So this will be our free agent class this time. We're just going to jump right to the NFL draft. And in the second round with pick 10, I'm going to take defensive end Montrell Bolden out of Georgia. And he will come in with a hidden depth trade. Then in the third round with pick 14, I'm going to take defensive tackle Tim Spencer out of Washington. And he will come in with a hidden depth trade as well. We ended up taking a 75 overall defensive end and a 71 overall defensive tackle. Then the computer took over and got a 66 overall right tackle, a 68 left tackle, a 66 corner, a 66 guard, and a 60 overall tight end. The best player in the draft was AJ Hinton, who went 5th overall to the Giants, a 78 overall outside linebacker. I am going to make another trade before the season starts. I have traded a second round pick for middle linebacker Shaq Thompson. So here's your offense for the final season of this rebuild. We have quarterback Jalen Hurts, who's a 93 overall. We have Dalvin Cook at a 96. We have Justin Jefferson, who is now a 99 overall. DeAndre Hopkins still a 95 overall. Jordan Addison's an 83. We did lose TJ Hawkinson, but we add Darnell Washington. He is a 76 overall, but I'm hoping he still plays pretty well. Hopefully season 3 is finally the season where the defense can get it together. I traded for Shaq Thompson because he was a scheme fit and we needed another middle linebacker. We drafted Bolden in the second round, who was a hidden depth trait. Hopefully this defense can finally put it all together. I try to show this at the end of all the rebuilds before I simulate the final season. We are an 89 overall offense, an 83 overall defense, and an 86 overall team. Here's hoping we can finally get to the playoffs. If we don't make the playoffs in this rebuild, it is clearly a failure, but I really won't know what I've done wrong. I feel like I'm getting decent players with some of them being scheme fit, some of them aren't, but I feel like it shouldn't matter that much on the scheme fit thing. But I tried to use Kirk Cousins for the first couple seasons. Clearly that did not work out. So now we have a superstar depth trait quarterback in Jalen Hurts. So let's hopefully get into the playoffs this season. Well, we finally managed to make the playoffs. We still don't win the division, but at least we get in as a wild card here. We're the number 7 offense in the league and the number 16 defense. So this is the best team we have built so far. We are 8 in offensive points per game, but 27th in defensive points per game. Jalen Hurts throws for almost 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Dalvin Cook runs in for 15 touchdowns, just 3 yards shy of 1,000. And receiving, Justin Jefferson, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Jordan Addison got 6 touchdowns. What about defense? Shaq Thompson led the team in tackles with 130. Sacks, we did not get a lot of those. Zadarius Smith led the team with 5. And interceptions, Andrew Booth got 6. Dak Prescott led the league in passing yards. Second place was Jake Boyd, a rookie quarterback for the Buccaneers. In touchdowns, that goes to Terrence Good for the Giants, a second-year auto-generated quarterback, through 43. Interceptions also goes to Terrence Good, who tied CJ Stroud, who is now a Packer. Running the ball, Derrick Henry led the league in yards with 1,700, and in touchdowns, that goes to Josh Jacobs with 23 of them. Receiving, Cooper Kupp still puts up insane numbers, 117 receptions, almost said 1,100 receptions. Yards, 1,600, and touchdowns goes to Brandon Ayuk in Kansas City with 17. We get in as the 5th seed here in the playoffs, so we get to take on the 4 seed Seattle Seahawks. We managed to get out of the wildcard round by a final score of 24-13. Going into halftime, Seattle was winning this game 6-3, but we ended up coming back. Obviously, by the final score, it wasn't close in the second half. Jalen Hurts goes 16 for 27, 222 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their quarterback Theo Camp throws for 264, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. It looks like Dalvin Cook was the leading rusher with 51 yards and a touchdown. And receiving, DK Metcalf kind of killed us, 8 for 112 and a touchdown, but not enough to get them the win. Justin Jefferson caught a touchdown and DeAndre Hopkins caught a touchdown. Moving on in the playoffs, we now get to take on the 1 seed New York Giants. They went 13-4 on the season. It does not matter that they are the 1 seed though. We are headed to the NFC Championship by a final score of 47-20. The Giants quarterback played terribly, 27 for 41, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Jalen Hurts, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dalvin Cook led the game in rushing yards with 73. Saquon Barkley did run in for 2 touchdowns, but Jalen Hurts and Alexander Mattison also ran in for 1. Receiving, Darius Slayton 9 for 98, DeAndre Hopkins 7 for 103 and a touchdown. The NFC Championship is an NFC North rivalry game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers, and the AFC Championship is between Jacksonville and Buffalo. And in complete domination in the NFC Championship, we're not headed to the Super Bowl. The final score was 53-31. We are just rolling right now. DJ Stroud played pretty well. He threw for 366 yards and 3 touchdowns, but did throw 2 interceptions. Jalen Hurts throws 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. On the ground, Dalvin Cook ran for 145 and 3 scores. Receiving, Irv Smith 8 for 77, Ray McLeod 7 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. Christian Watson got a touchdown, but Dalvin Cook caught one. DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, and Darnell Washington. This game will decide if this rebuild is a success or a failure as we take on Jacksonville. We will jump in here with about 5 minutes to go in the game. We are up 24-10, looking to maybe put the dagger in the Jaguars. From the 12-yard line, Jalen will take the snap. He stands in the pocket. Now he's going to roll around. He throws to the end zone, and that will be tipped out of the air. That brings up a 2nd and 10. Jalen lines up in shotgun again. Dalvin Cook is the running back still. He'll take the snap and look to pass a quick throw, caught by DeAndre Hopkins, who will get brought down inside the 5. Jalen back in shotgun with under 5 minutes to go in the game. He takes the snap, looking to pass. He's under pressure, rolling out to the outside. Jalen just needs to take off, and he finally will. Dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Vikings. We go up 31-10. Your final score of this game is 31-17. That touchdown from Jalen would pretty much put it away. Jacksonville would drive downfield and get one more touchdown, try an onside kick. Minnesota would recover, and that was pretty much the end of any hope Jacksonville had. So this rebuild had to take a little bit of a detour because I wanted to use Kirk Cousins. He started to regress a lot, had to move on from him, found Jalen Hurts in free agency, who had just come off a Super Bowl win with Philadelphia. Now he moves to Minnesota and wins a 2nd straight Super Bowl for himself and the Vikings' very first Super Bowl. So obviously this rebuild is considered a success. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys next time.